Hi guys, let me introduce myself. My name is Sir Hardi Alunaza. I'm the part of International Relations, Faculty Social and Politics Science in University of Tanjungpura. Guys, today I will give explanations about diplomacy, such as definition of diplomacy, function of diplomacy, purpose of diplomacy, and how diplomacy works in our international systems. So, we're getting so much time, let's get to the list. So guys, as international relations students, we always heard diplomacy word, but we never know exactly what the meaning of it. Diplomacy has been known since the beginning of the human race. Diplomacy is rarely used to make agreements or to make negotiations between two persons or two countries on a big scale, to essentials or to keep international affairs. Diplomacy is mostly important to make a specific agenda when the two countries have to make agreement. Therefore, without diplomacy, we know that our world have a lot of conflict, such as a war. Because we know diplomacy is all about negotiations and communications. And that negotiation and communications is realized by having the international organizations like ASEAN and APEC. So guys, what exactly the definitions of diplomacy is? Diplomacy is described as the art of telling lie by the behalf of the nations. And also, there's a lot of experts who give definitions of diplomacy, such as Pedophiles and Lincoln. They say that diplomacy is the process of representations and negotiations by which states who give one another in a time. Diplomacy has two functions. The first function is communications and negotiations. The second function is intelligence gathering, image management, and policy implementations. The collections of information give diplomats help to understand their situations and predict their problems in their domestic. Not only that, they also can know the foreign policy shift. Moreover, diplomats have a lot of functions. It's not only about representing their social and political strategy, it's also about department, management, and ceremonials, and also negotiations international, and informations and communications functions. These functions of communications is most important of diplomacy, because without diplomacy, we know that the world will not have good as right now, because there must be a lot of war in our international system. The purpose of diplomacy is to force interests of state or non-state actor so they can escape one another player. And not only that, diplomacy can increase order and peace in this anarchy world. We could say that diplomacy is a harmony to keep a good instrument in one another in these international relations. Diplomacy is accomplished by negotiations and communications in order to get an agreement. And usually, when there's a negotiations between two countries, one country wants to get more than they need. And when this happened, a compliance happened. But it usually happens that one of another country will refuse to comply. And then one of other will involve the negotiations. But when the negotiations involved by other, the other will give the sanctions, and it's called diplomatic sanctions. A successful negotiations is diplomacy agreement. And diplomacy agreement is formed like a treaty. What exactly a treaty is? A treaty is the agreements between countries when they have to make one result when they have a conflict. The example is like Versailles. Versailles were signed in the Versailles in French. We all know that Versailles was designed how to end the World War I. But not all the country might get into the negotiations. Like Germany and Austria, they were not allowed to get into the negotiations. But like United States and the other Central Power, they may allow the negotiations. The other agreement is a convention which signed by multiple nations and become international law. One of the famous is Geneva Conventions. It's about outright treatment in the prisoners of war, civilians, and medical personnel in war zones. The first was signed in Geneva, Switzerland, and the fourth, and maybe the most important, was signed after World War II. That's the explanations about diplomacy. From all of my video, we know that diplomacy is important to keep a good relations between countries. Because with negotiations and communications, we can make a good agreements and refuse the war. I hope my video will give a positive benefits to you all guys who watching it. Thank you for watching it and see you in another video. Bye!